On a dark, stormy night, the winds howl across the North Yorkshire coast, the waves crashing against the rocks of this seemingly peaceful bay. But out there on the horizon, a small fishing boat appears, its cargo far from innocent. Beneath the cover of darkness, the villagers wait, watching in anticipation as their lamps flicker in the windows of the narrow alleyways. Tonight, the fishermen aren't just bringing in their daily catch. Tonight, the smugglers are coming home. But who were these men, risking life and limb to bring contraband goods into this quiet, isolated bay? And how did a sleepy fishing village become the busiest smuggling community on the Yorkshire coast? And if you stay tuned to the end, I'll reveal a chilling story from when smuggling turned to murder. So please sit back, relax and enjoy the video. It's time to go on a smuggling adventure.
Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, I'm Claire and this is the Wanderlust Way. In today's video we are in Robin Hood's Bay, which is on the east coast of England in Yorkshire, and I am going to tell you the story of the smugglers of Robin Hood's Bay, which is a fantastic story filled with loads of exciting stuff. So enough waffle, let's wander.
Robin Hood's Bay is a picturesque village located on the rugged Yorkshire coast, nestled between the popular towns of Whitby and Scarborough. Set within the North York Moors National Park, the village cascades down steep cliffs towards a sweeping bay, offering breathtaking views of the North Sea. Known for its charming narrow streets, red-roofed cottages and fascinating history, Robin Hood's Bay has long been a favourite destination for those looking to explore both the scenic coastline and the rich tales of smuggling that once dominated the area. And it is these rich tales of smuggling that we're here to unravel today. In the 18th century, Robin Hood's Bay was more important than its larger neighbour Whitby. Its natural isolation made it the perfect spot for smugglers. Hidden between towering cliffs and cut off from the hustle and bustle of bigger towns, the bay was difficult to access by land, but by sea it was a smuggler's dream. From here the villagers could see the excise men or customs officers approaching from miles away. The labyrinth streets and tight-knit houses created a network of secret paths and hiding places. In these very alleys, the smugglers wove their dangerous trade, moving contraband through the village without detection. Almost everyone in the village played their part in the smuggling. It was said that a bale of silk could pass from the bottom of the village to the top without ever leaving the houses. Today, when you walk through Robin Hood's Bay, with its narrow, interlinking paths, you can easily imagine how this was possible.
As you walk around, there's all these little snickets, so you can imagine them smuggling the contraband down these little passageways.
Life as a smuggler was dangerous, but it was better paid than fishing alone. These fishermen knew the waters like the back of their hand. By day they caught fish to feed their families, but by night they risked everything, smuggling goods like silk, spirits, tobacco and rum into the bay. The local squire was even rumoured to have financed the operations, expecting a healthy return on his investment. It was a highly organised, large-scale operation. Smuggled goods weren't just distributed within the village, they were transported inland as far as York and even London. But the rewards came with great risk. The death sentence loomed over those caught in the act, and the smugglers faced fierce battles with the excise men, both on land and at sea. The excise men, or customs officers, tasked with stopping the smuggling, were relentless, but so were the villagers. In the narrow alleyways of Robin Hood's Bay, it is said the smuggler wives would pour boiling water from their bedroom windows onto the excise men below, trying desperately to fend them off. These cat and mouse games became legendary, and sometimes the excise men paid with their lives. One such story involves a customs officer who met a gruesome fate at a nearby inn, and we'll learn more about that by the end of this video.
During the times of the smugglers, nearly everybody in the village played their part in the story, from the fishermen to the wives. Everybody, it is said, played a part in the Robin Hood's Bay smuggling story.
What made smuggling in Robin Hood's Bay so successful was the involvement of the entire community. Fisherfolk wives would smuggle goods under their petticoats, with gin hidden in pig bladders and tobacco tucked under baskets of fish. On the surface, these women appeared to be going about their daily business, but to those in the know, it was all part of an intricate network. Before being transported, booty was stored in secret locations, waiting for a time when it was safe to be moved. The houses' many cellars and interlinked passageways made these secret missions possible. In some cases, contraband could be moved through the village without ever hitting daylight. Visitors to the bay today will notice an intriguing tunnel just off the sandy shore and underneath the popular Bay Hotel. It is this very tunnel that has bore witness to a remarkable amount of action of the years. Whilst tourists today sit enjoying their crisp pints of ale and fresh Whitby scampi, I wonder about the scenes they'd have witnessed from here if transported back in time. A hive of activity in the darkness, hefty fishermen lugging heavy crates from their boats to the entrance of this very tunnel. The flickering glow of their lanterns leading the way towards the somewhat safety of a neighbouring cellar or secret opening amongst the rocks. It sounds dangerous, it sounds exciting. Even the local children played their part, often kept away from the dangerous smuggling operations by stories of terrifying creatures. Stories like that of the Boggle, who was said to live in a nearby cave. Tales like this were invented to keep curious children away from the smugglers' hideouts. If you're interested in that, there's a separate video on the legend of the Boggle, which you can find on my channel. So we're here on the quieter side of Robin Hood's Bay. There's nobody actually on this beach apart from me, and it's easy to imagine the boats coming in the dark, bringing all those goods of rum, tobacco, silk, in order to avoid paying the duty. So it's really fascinating. It's a fascinating story, a great part of history. But why was smuggling so common in places like Robin Hood's Bay? Well, the answer is simple. It all came down to taxes. In the 18th century, the government imposed heavy duties on everyday items like tea, spirits and tobacco. Coastal communities saw these taxes as unfair, and smuggling became a way of life for many. During the American and Napoleonic Wars, smuggling flourished as coastal watch was depleted. Goods were brought in from Europe under the cover at night, and entire communities turned out to help unload and hide the illegal cargo. It's said that at one point, 80% of the tea drunk in Britain had been smuggled into the country illegally. In nearby Scarborough, it was publicly admitted that the price of tea was low thanks to the smugglers' efforts. It's easy to understand, therefore, why in many people's eyes the smugglers were almost heroic, helping to keep the prices down and demonstrating rebellion against the levies many felt were unjust. Maybe this is how they managed to get away with it for so long. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. As just mentioned, despite the risks, smugglers were often admired by their communities. They provided access to cheaper goods, tea, rum, tobacco and silk, items that were otherwise too expensive due to the taxes imposed by the Crown. Smuggling wasn't just a small-time operation, it was organised, widespread and reached far beyond the bay. And while the authorities tried to stamp it out, smuggling was seen as a way to level the playing field against unfair taxation. In the dead of night, boats would come ashore, handing off their illegal cargo to the townsfolk waiting in the bay. Goods were quickly whisked away, hidden in tunnels, cellars and fishing boats. Everyone had a role to play, from the fishermen who risked their lives at sea to the villagers who carried the goods to safety. Though the smuggling heyday has long passed, the stories of Robin Hood's Bay live on in the alleys, the tunnels and the whispered tales of the sea. And there's just one more story I promised earlier to share with you. How on one unfortunate night, smuggling turned to murder. The location of Robin Hood's Bay means it is surrounded by isolated moors and remote fields, another good reason perhaps to start a smuggling operation here. It is upon this moorland location a speckling of secluded barns and buildings existed, their isolation providing the perfect cover for the storing and movement of contraband goods. Now, our gruesome story takes place in just one of these buildings, the now demolished Saltersgate Inn. Located on what today is known as the A169 Pickering to Whitby Road, the inn was a haven for both smugglers and local fishermen. Before being pulled down in 2018, it had a rich history full of tales and legends, and it is one of these stories in particular that caught my attention when researching the area's smuggling past. The tale goes that one dark and misty evening, a curious exile man decided to pay the Saltersgate Inn a visit. This was not uncommon, and the locals usually prepared for eventualities like this by having secret means of communication. Their secret code was simple. If there was a light lit in the small window of the inn, then it meant an exile officer was on the premises, and it was not safe to enter. If there was no light, then the coast was clear. On this particular evening, the pub's host, for whatever reason, had forgotten to blow out the lamp when the officer entered the building, and the smugglers, thinking they were safe, barged through the door with a booty of fish they were preparing to salt. Salt tax in the 1800s was just another levy that everyday people were trying to avoid. Remote inns like the Saltersgate were therefore used as secret and illegal salting factories. Knowing they were in trouble, a brawl broke out between the men and the visiting officer, and somewhere amongst this tension he was hit upon the head with a rock. Collapsing to the ground, it was clear he was dead, the rock having cracked his skull. Afraid, no doubt, of being punished for both smuggling and murder, a group pact was said to be made to dispose of the exile man. Legend tells that it was within the inn's central fireplace the man was slowly cremated, and that the secrets he carried were to be taken away with him up the smoke of the chimney. But these superstitious fishermen were taking no chances, and fearing the exile man's ghost would return to haunt them, they vowed to keep the pub fire burning for the rest of their days. The pub is now long gone, however, and I'm not sure exactly when the fire stopped burning or whether the ghost of the man ever did escape, free to roam the moors on the hunt for the smugglers. What do you think? If you know more about this story, please let me know in the comments. So there you have it, the thrilling, dangerous and fascinating story of the smugglers of Robin Hood's Bay. A time when the village you see today was a hub of illegal trade full of risk and reward. If you've enjoyed this journey through the past, make sure to hit that subscribe button, and if you want to hear more ghostly tales like the one about the murdered excise man, keep an eye out for my upcoming video on the haunted pubs of Whitby. Thank you to everybody for watching. I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you've got anything to add, please drop it in the comments for everybody else to see, and please like the video. It's took me a lot of time to do the research, and feel free to come along on more adventures by subscribing. Alright everyone, have a great day. Goodbye.